and the size to get on the field right away. Benico Brown has the size to get on the field right away. Some of the defensive linemen, you know, I mean, the guys, let's see, Nick James, I guess if you're 6'4", generous 330, on the light end generous right now. You know, I mean, he has the physical stature to get on the field right away, but it is very difficult. You know, I mean, I had no problem with all 23 of them playing this freshman. You know, we want to make sure we put them in a position to be successful. When we feel they're ready to step on the field, that can significantly contribute, we go play them. And, you know, I think it shocked a guy that, probably the first guy that I would imagine will be on the field is going to be Devin Bell. You know, I mean, he's a guy with just phenomenal leg strength, and that we've been excited about getting here for about over 2.5 years now, since we first had him at camp. That we were excited to get him. You know, I think he just has special leg strength. So even as a specialist, he's going to have the opportunity to play right away.
Kicker or punter for him?
Yes. When his foot touches the ball, it goes, and it goes a long way. And whether he's kicking it or punting it, he can do both. So, but he's a special talent.
Yeah, I look at this list of 23, and I don't see on the position ATH. That tells me you've got a decent plan as to where you see these.
I probably should scour this more, but you know, I mean, no one else. You can probably put ATH next to all of them. Devin Bell will even tell me he's an athlete, and he can run and pitch.
My point being is, it seems like you've got a plan right off the bat for a lot of these kids, and that they don't, you know, once they get on campus, you will know exactly what to do.
Yeah, no, I think we have a plan, and we kind of did that. And as we discussed with the guys, what we expect them to be. You know, when you look at Benico Brown, who, you know, we expect to be an outside linebacker, and you know that's what we kind of talked about. But you know, also put up huge numbers as a running back in high school. That we haven't counted that out as well as we move forward. So, you know, I think when we do that, those are kind of the projected positions that we see everybody playing at right now. And I think maybe there's some guys that are more defined. You know, in the years past, when you have, you know, some guys that were high school quarterbacks that we have no idea which direction they're going to go, you can put down as athletes. And I think we have a thought of what direction everyone's going to go, but I mean, there's still guys like Deontay Evans that he can go any number of positions, whether it be defensive back, running back. He catches the ball extremely well. So, you know, I think we just kind of put them in that category now, and we'll sort it all out once they get on campus.
I know some of the Big Ten has been doing this. Have you talked anything about multi-year scholarships within the players that just never came out, one-year deals?
No, it didn't come out. You know, I mean, it came up at the very front end when they were going to pass that rule, you know, I think with the early signing guys. And, you know, to me, when I talk to these young men, when I'm in their home, I mean, I'm committed to them graduating, you know, so, and that's what I've told all the parents. And so, you know, it never really came up, but to me, I have no problem with whatever direction that rule goes in the future, because we're committed to these guys until they graduate. You know, whether even a Fletcher Cox, that's something, you know, hopefully you make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'll fight to keep you on scholarship until you have that degree.
How much did it help, you know, having the staff stay intact and everything throughout as compared to last year when there's some people leaving?
Yeah, I think it helps. You know, I think I think it helps an awful lot for us and stability as our group, that there's not new guys trying to learn a new way to do things. I think in recruiting, obviously, it helps because there's no changeover in the middle of the whole process, which can hurt sometimes. But I also think a lot of these guys know that there eventually, I imagine, will be changeover within the staff at some point during their career. I hope there is, and I hope, you know, it'll be a great thing to say that all these guys 4 years through here, they have the exact same coaching staff. But the important thing that they understood is, you know, I'm going to be here as their head coach, and the program will not change. You know, our philosophy of how we hire coaches, the standards of how we run our program will not change during their career. And that, to me, is always the most important thing. But it helps when you don't have to deal with the distraction of new coaches and having to learn a new position coach.
And if you go to a little more detail about Nick Schuessler's recruitment, you kept saying he was number one in y'all's board, but kind of a last minute offer. What was that process like?
What happened is there was a lot of issues. One was a question of whether we were going to take a quarterback this year. We would have had potentially 3 younger guys coming back with no senior in next year's class. It was a question, do we want to have, you get yourself into trouble that way. That's I guess that golden rule, you take a quarterback in every signing class, but we had a lot of discussion. We had a little bit of a turnover at the quarterback position in December, and it kind of really refocused us. We had offered a quarterback, and one of the things, and Nick, and he understood it, I said, hey, we had offered a guy, we were going to give him for a certain time to let us know to make a decision, and we actually allowed him to extend his time a little bit longer, and as soon as we knew about the decision, we said, hey, and the great thing with Nick is he understood that. He understood that honesty and appreciated it, that we didn't feel right if we offered him and he committed, and then somebody else wanted to come, and I said, you no longer have your scholarship, even though I promised you one thing, I'm going back on my promise. And but he was always the top guy sitting right there on the board for us at quarterback. Well, I guess the second guy, because we had another guy that we thought we'd have an opportunity at as well. And it's always tough because they're right there. And the guys that we evaluated for very different players that you look at in that situation. And I always told Nick, I always err to the in-state guys first, as a loyalty to the kids from Mississippi, and that's why we went and gave one guy the first opportunity, and then we jumped all over Nick. And, it was actually funny during that whole weekend when we were sitting there with Nick, and I kind of came to the conclusion I thought Nick was the better quarterback. And then it kind of came real heavy that he was the much better quarterback. And in our minds, the more time we spent with him, and it became tough. And I just think he's a great kid and a great family, and really understood everything that went on during recruiting. And the fact that we were up front with him right from day one, I think allowed that great open communication with us.
Just overall, the one game you'll have to play is a numbers game. Trying to make everything fit. How difficult is that this year compared to previous?
I think it's scary, because one of the things what you look at on signing day is you can't go over anymore. And even if there's a guy that's questionable academically, or we don't want to send out letters that you're not going to send over letters because of the severity of the punishment for over-signing. So as you go through this whole process, it does make it difficult in balancing that you say, hey, there's 3 kids you don't know about. Can you risk sending 3 of them? You might only have 2 spots, and if all 3 of them sign, you're going to get punished severely. So if you send out 2 and you send out the wrong 2 and they don't decide to come, then you're way under spots. So I think it's made it a little bit more tricky balancing the numbers and trying to be exact, but I think our staff, and I said that the quality of the young man that we went after, we really didn't end up with those issues on signing day.
And it's our understanding of an issue with Gus Wall with the knee. Is that something you have concern about, or do you feel like...
He met with our doctors in his knee, and then he also had a shoulder issue. One of the things that we had talked about was the potential of gray shirting for him, and really for health reasons, because what happened with his knee and his shoulder after the season when he got that fixed, he lost about 20 pounds. And not being able to train and doing some stuff, but we spent some time, we did some research, talked to the doctors. Within his rehab, we felt that he was ahead of schedule. He felt he was ahead of schedule. And, it really kind of was an open discussion with him and his option of which road he wanted to take. And, when we talked to the doctors and he talked to the doctors, they said they felt he was ahead of schedule, that he will be 100% healthy way before he reports, that he'll be able to get his weight back on and report at a good weight and come in on a positive note. And, again, I think just the relationships we've had, that our coaches do a great job, allows you to have open discussions with young men like that, they can really look at their future and understand why we talk about and even discuss that. I think some people look at gray shirts because they're going to oversign a lot of people. And as we discussed it potentially with a couple guys this year, there were factors involved in each one of those, whether it be academically or